All praises to the Most High and Christ. I'm doing this video and using the research from Bishop's teaching because it's a very needed and important video to do in this day and time. It's a great video. He goes over and gives us a look at this system and how it is treating us and some of the tools that they use for evil against us. And so as I begin to look at this, as I begin to think and try to understand, what was the Most High saying to us in this video through the bishop. Well, when he got to this certain part here talking about the Constitution and the way he explained how the Constitution was a tool meant for our evil, to do evil to us, to mislead us. I thought about the Most High when he said, Satan meant it for evil, but he takes what the devil used, the tools that the devil uses for evil against us, and he turned them into tools for good to accomplish his purpose in us. And, I went back and I read some scriptures because to understand what's happening to us in slavery, it's twofold. It's evil that the Most High is using for our good, if you can understand that. And he explains it in Deuteronomy, the 8th chapter. Read the whole chapter. You'll see that the Most High used the evil of the wilderness to show us and to lead us to a place to show us that we can trust him, that he loves us. He will deliver us from all manner of evil against us if we trust him. That's what I got out of the chapter after I read it. And basically he literally says that. And he reminded us that he's going to be with us as long as we're with him. As long as we trust him and keep his commandments, he can lead and guide us. And that's what the wilderness experience is. I could go back and read it. I think I would like to read it. Just for a second, let's go to it. Deuteronomy 8 and 1. All these commandments I command ye this day shall ye observe to do, that ye may live and multiply and go in and possess the land which the Lord sware unto your fathers. And thou shalt remember all the ways of the Lord thy God, these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you. All the ways of the Lord thy God led thee these 40 years in the wilderness to humble you. So, right there, the Most High, it lets us know the Most High will lead us through hard times, to humble us. His purpose is to humble us. We have to be humbled. Okay? What does that mean? To humble us. Why we want to humble us? I think that his interpretation of humble is to, you'll see as we read it, is to bring us to a place where we will depend on him and listen to him and stop moving in our own ways, in our own way. Stop leaning to our own understanding, because our own understanding will lead us to destruction in this day if we exalt, because we are prone to exalt ourselves and to look at ourselves, to forget God and look at ourselves as the source of our success. Let's keep reading. Humble thee and prove to thee to know what was in thine heart, in our minds. We got to know what's in our minds. We have to come in our life, every one of our lives. We are looking for self gratification. We're looking for gratification, exalting self. To exalt self, we are prone to exalt ourselves, and that will lead us to forget the Most High God. He wants us to remember that He is control of our life, that He knows what's best for us. And so, in doing that, we have to know, we have to go through trials and tribulation where we always, where when we lean to our own understanding and exalt ourselves and don't give God don't acknowledge that the Most High God leads us, because we don't know our own ways. Man can't know his own ways, his own doings. We don't know, we can't see the enemy working against us, because it's a spiritual warfare as well as a physical warfare. And the enemy is constantly trying to lead us away from the Most High God, like he did our ancestor Adam and all our ancestors. The enemy constantly, the devil, seek who he may devour. And if we don't understand the weapons of his warfare, which we can only understand that if the Most High shows us what this enemy has planned for us. And so we have to become aware of what's in our hearts and how our hearts and our minds, how our mind work against us, because we're always seeking to glorify ourselves. We're always seeking to exalt our own. A fool has no delight in understanding, and that Proverbs, but that his heart may be discovered. We're always trying to prove our, how wise we are, how great we are, right? So let's see. Uh, humble thee and to prove thee to know what was in thine heart, how the heart is wicked. And we're always, like I just said, we're always trying to exalt ourselves, because that is the trick of the devil. When that's the temptation, that's the test that he put on Yahawah when he took him up in the mountain those 40 days. He was trying to get him to exalt himself above God, right? Whether thou wouldest keep his commandments or no, right? To know, you gotta know in your heart. I'm prone not to keep the Most High God's commandments. And he humbled thee and suffered thee to hunger. That's when we are without our basic needs. That humbles us. We have to look to God and say, help, I need your help. When we go through life and we do everything we think is right for us, and it ends up that we're sitting defeated by the enemy, We're in the pig pen like the prodigal son. That's a good way to look at it, is that we go out and we turn from the Most High God and do our own thing. We end up in the pig pen. We end up with nothing. That's where it's going to happen. That's what he's trying to show us. So he humbles you and suffered thee to hunger, and then he fed you. He'll let you go out and do your thing, and you get hungry. You get to where you don't have any food. That humbles you. That lets you know that you needed God, and you couldn't do this on your own. And that was the main. That was one of the main themes of alcohol or rehab therapy, is that you need to realize you have to come to a place that you are a failure. You hit your rock bottom, and you need a higher power to pray to lead you and guide you, because you can't do this life on your own. All right, because you have an enemy working against you that you can't see. Okay, it says he fed you with manna which thou knowest not, neither did thy fathers know. Let's see. Okay. Neither did thy fathers know, that he might make thee know that man doeth not live by bread alone. Ain't that one of the things Christ said to the devil in his hour of temptation? But by every word that proceedeth from the mouth of God, of the mouth of the Lord doeth man live. So that's letting us know that these physical things on this earth, our basic needs and our wants, we can't live by those things. They help us to sustain our body and to live in the physical realm, but we can't just live in the physical realm. We must live in the spiritual realm, because the spiritual realm is where God speaks to us and helps us to guide us around the wiles of the devil. So we're getting an understanding from this chapter here, that the Most High is making himself known unto us and leading and guiding us through our wilderness experience, right? He said, let's read verse 4. Thy raiment waxed not old upon thee, neither did thy foot swell. They did all that walking, and the foot didn't swell. I like that. These 40 years they walked. They walked everywhere, and their foot didn't even swell up. So he's showing you, he's naming the things that he did for us that would, in the physical realm, we wouldn't have been able to suffer all that walking, and our feet didn't even swell. It didn't even, ankles didn't twist an ankle. It didn't twist an ankle because when you twist your ankle, your feet swell, right? Your clothes, didn't have to buy new clothes. They didn't even get old, right? He's showing you what he'll do for you, the kind of God and the kind of love he have for us through this wilderness experience. Thou shalt also consider in thy heart that as a man chasteneth his son, so shall the Lord thy God chasten thee. Why does the Most High chasten you? So you can the Most High chastise us, not just a physical chastisement, but a rebuke. He'll tell you, hey, he'll try to guide you with his word and his understanding. He'll speak to you. You shouldn't do that. That's what the laws are. The laws are chastisement. And then he'll bring to your remembrance when you're tempted. He'll make a way for you to escape with every temptation. That's biblical. That's the Holy Spirit working. You got the Holy Spirit, that's chastening. He'll make a way for you to escape. When you don't escape, when you don't take his way out and keep his commandments, then you'll be rebuked. Something will happen to you. You might stump your toe, bump your head. It starts off with small things first. Jail and to prevent you from dying in your sins. Okay? Therefore thou shalt keep the commandments of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways and to fear him. To fear him means reverence him. To know that that he is great, and he's qualified, and he's faithful, and he's powerful to do what he said he would do. I am that I am, right? You fear him. To know that he can destroy you, or he can let you destroy yourself. When he's not leading you, when he turn, because of your disobedience, he'll leave you to your own devices. You'll get on drugs, you'll lose your job, you'll lose your house, your family. You'll be addicted to the point to where you can't control your own life, because you turned from him and turned from his commandments. So that's all these things help you to fear. It means reverence him. Know that you need him in your life. For the Lord thy God bringeth thee into a good land. That's what he wants to do, is to bring us into a good place on this earth. A good land, a land of brooks of water, fountains of depths, deep, that spring out of the valley and hills. He provided everything on this earth for us. Now he has to lead us to these places, because we don't know our way. We don't know where they are. We're wandering. We're wandering on the earth. We're wandering, and might even wander in circles. We don't know where these things are, where the good lands are. So he has to lead and guide us and be a light to us. And we know that's through the way we can know him and get direction is through his Holy Spirit and through his word. A land of wheat and barley, and vines and fig trees, berries and fig trees, pomegranate, a land of olive oil and honey, milk and honey, fruits, milk, and honey. He wants to lead us to that place where we will be satisfied, where we won't have to worry about our basic physical needs. A land wherein thou shalt eat bread without scarceness, plentiful. That's what Columbus said when he came over here. He said when he got off them ships and started exploring the land where he was on, he said it was so plentiful. Everything that the Most High just named, he said it was full of it. All kind of trees and berries and this and that, wheat and all of that. It was plentiful. He said he knew then that God had led these people to the land of the gods. He knew he had reached the land of the gods. Okay, it says, and when thou eat thy bread, no scarceness, without scarceness, and thou shalt not lack anything in it. In this land you will not. It would have everything. Will provide everything you need. That's where he brought the 10 tribes to. This is our land. This is the 10 tribes. He brought us here, and there was everything here. When they made up their mind they wanted to serve the Lord, then he brought them over here. But it was to fulfill his whole purpose. We have both. We receive both in this land, the wilderness experience, and initially It's a place of milk and honey. Okay? Thou shalt not lack anything in it, and the land whose stone and iron, a land whose stone and iron, and out of those hills thou mayest dig brass. It's full of metals. It's we wonder sometimes, why did God make gold and silver and different metals? He understood that we were going to develop technology. We would need these things. These things, he put them there for us to use to develop our habitat, okay? Our civilization. All these things that we have invented, we use these metals, and we use different, we shape these metals to make all kind of things, radios and walkie-talkies and cars and everything. The Most High knew we were going to make these things, and he gave us the metals. He provided everything to make our life here on this earth easy and, beautiful, wonderful. We can't even imagine. We didn't even imagine when we first would drop down here that we would reach this level of technology to provide an easy life in our civilization on earth. When thou hast eaten and art full, then thou shalt, let me see where we at, 21 minutes. Then thou shalt be blessed the Lord. Then thou shalt bless the Lord thy God for the good land which he giveth thee. This is God's plan. This was God's plan. Not only for those Israelites coming out of Egypt, this was God's plan for the Israelites. This is why he created the earth for our sake, so we would bless him. This is his purpose. For the good land which he gave us for this earth. When we experience the earth and everything that he has done after he led us, he put us down here and gave us the laws and told us how to be blessed. When we follow him and we receive these blessings and we get to the place, this is a trial run for eternal life. So this is a trial run right here. All he asks you to do is to bless him for what he gave you. He didn't ask you, that ain't hard. That's not hard. To reverence him, acknowledge him, thank him, praise him. He's God. We should do that. We should glorify him for all this goodness that he gave us. He didn't have to create us like little gods to where we have conscience, we able to reason, the way our brain works. We're not robots. He made us like in his image so we could experience this world as gods like he do. He gave, he didn't say, I'm going to make them like robots, I'm going to make, 10 men. No, he made us in his own image so we can experience life like he do. Okay? He said, beware. Now, verse 11, beware that thou forgettest not the Lord thy God. He's warning us that this what we're made of. We will forget the Lord. In all of this goodness, we're gonna forget the Lord thy God. He said, beware that thou forget not the Lord thy God in not keeping the commandment. That's how you forget God, when you stop keeping his commandments. So we'll get to a place with all this goodness that we'll leave away from the commandments. That was it wasn't a fear. That was his big warning to us. When you stop keeping the Lord's commandments and you move away from it, you forget God and his judgments and his statutes, which I have commanded thee this day. This is Moses saying This is what the Most High wants you to remember of over all things. This is what's going to keep you safe and healthy in this land and keep the Most High uh, favor for you in your life here on earth, that you don't forget his commandments and his judgments and his statutes. Least when thou eat that and are full, thou build goodly houses and dwell therein. And when thy herds and thy flocks multiply, and thy silver and thy gold is multiplied, and all that thou have is multiplied, then thine heart be lifted up, and thou forget the Lord thy God, which brought thee forth out of the land of Egypt from the house of bondage. We went in the house of bondage for the Most High to deliver us. He had to deliver us. Why? Because he was showing himself and his love and showing us how to live on this earth. The Israelites showing us how to live on this earth in peace and harmony with him, and how to enjoy the earth and to enjoy all these things that multiply. The way we can enjoy them is that, you know, we don't forget God. And when we forget God, it's because we fail to keep his commandments. Now, I'm going to speed this up. I guess I want to. This is a long study, but I'm not going to hold it too long, but because I want to get back to. So let's see. Led us through great trouble, wilderness, the fiery serpents, uh, the waters. He gone over the things he did for us. He fed us in the wilderness manna. These things, when God brought us out of Egypt, out of bondage, he leads us and feed us. In other words, like it's the let's see. I don't know if you guys understand what the parable Jesus gave when we wanted to keep with sheep, and the sheep keep wandering away from the shepherd. He used this example. Then you've had a sheep that keep wandering away from the flock and wandering away from the shepherd, and he was unruly, and he didn't know the shepherd's voice. Mostly the young sheep, and they keep wandering away. It's because the sheep don't have a relationship with the shepherd. So what the shepherd does, this is real. This is a procedure, a process that a lot of the shepherds did, for the young sheep when they're unruly and they wander away and they don't follow the voice of the shepherd. They can go out and get, and the lion or the wolf or some animal will eat them because they wander away. You can't watch every little sheep. The sheep has to, follow the voice of the shepherd. So what the shepherd did, he broke the leg of the sheep, put the and mended the leg. He set the leg back in place, wrapped it up, and set the little sheep on his shoulders and carried the sheep until the sheep healed. Also, the sheep learned that the voice of the shepherd, and that the shepherd loved him and would care for him. So that's the wilderness experience. That's slavery. That's why we went in slavery. Not so much to be beat and killed. That was the enemy did us like that. More or less, the Most High, and he explains it, he didn't intend for them to do all the things they did to. That's why he said, if you bless Israel, you will be blessed. Even though we were we were receiving punishment, and we were in chastisement through slavery, they were not supposed to take it upon themselves to destroy us and to cut us off from being a nation through all the torment that they did to us. So, but the Most High used that tool of evil, that slavery, the things they did to us in slavery, he used it for our good. Because leading us out of that will give us a understanding of the relationship and the love that the Father has for us, because we thought we were doomed. And this is leading me back to the part that I want to bring out about us not understanding what the enemy meant for evil, God meant it for good. As it relates to, as it relates to what the bishop was talking about, us not being citizens, the United States not considering us citizens. And the way he explains it is the way most of us understand the United States, the Edomites, and them governing us and having jurisdiction over us. We understand. We because of our hopelessness way of thinking, the Most High has forsaken us, and the way the world is the way the Most High wanted it to be. And it comes from us not understanding who we are. Them still cutting us off from being a nation. It cut us off from us knowing ourselves and who we are. A lot of people say, why does it matter the color of Christ? Why does it matter knowing you're an Israelite? Because a crime was committed against us. They stole our identity and set themselves in our, made themselves, they changed places with us, trading places. That's what they did. That's what that movie's about. When they traded places by making themselves the people of God through the image of the beast, which is white Jesus. When they painted him white, they changed the whole message and they hid the people from themselves. And they forced us to worship that white Jesus. And I think Dr. Wesley said when she saw that white Jesus, she automatically knew in her mind that his father must be white too. And she said for a long time, she said she wondered as a kid, is this Captain Crunch? That Captain Crunch, was this Jesus' father? It's just how your mind works automatically. You think if Jesus is white, then God must be white. Then the people of Jesus' people is white. And God's chosen people is white. They switched places with us. That's a crime. They stole our identity to steal our heritage from us. All right? So let's read this last verse. He went through those verses showing us what he done for us. So this 16th verse says, who fed thee in the wilderness with manna, which thy father knew not, that he might humble thee, and that he might prove thee to do thee good in the latter end. In the latter end, the Most High, all this stuff that happened to us is to bring us to this latter end where we are now, where we're looking at the Constitution. The latter end is where he's trying to get us to. And let's read the 17. Thou shalt say in thy heart, my power and the might of mine hand hath gotten me this wealth. Okay? He's saying the reason to humble us, he had to humble us because we would forget him and then glorify ourselves for all the wealth. We see people doing it right now today. They glorify themselves and the Edomites. That's why we were not allowed to build our communities up, because we thought that without God, we didn't know who we were. We can't build our society up without knowing who we are, and without knowing that the Most High and keeping His commandment is the source of our success. So to humble us is to stop us from thinking that we don't need God and we get wealth without Him. We don't get wealth without Him. We get wealth in this man's kingdom, thinking that the land that we are accomplishing the American dream. Then we forget God. We give Edomites the credit. We give ourselves the credit. We always place the credit. We always praise everything but God. We create false gods. Okay, so this is the thing that the Most High didn't want us to think in our hearts, in our minds, that our power to exist on earth is in our own hands. But He didn't create us for that. In these latter days, He's going to move us to a place where we will know that our only chance to survive is through keeping those commandments. But thou shalt remember the Lord thy God. We're going to remember Him. Our latter end is that we remember, come back to the Lord thy God. For it is He that giveth thee power to get wealth, that He might establish His covenant, which He swore unto thy father, as it is this day. From that day, and He's a covenant-keeping God, His covenant still stands, that if we keep His commandments, we will survive. If we don't, we will not survive. And it shall be, if thou do at all forget the Lord thy God, and walk after other gods, and serve them and worship them, I testify against you this day that ye shall surely perish. That's Moses. He's testifying and saying, if you do this, if you forget the Lord God by not keeping His commandments, you will surely perish. And as the nations which the Lord has destroyed, you shall perish as the nations which the Lord destroyed before your face, so shall ye perish, because ye would not be obedient to the voice of the Lord thy God. So the wilderness experience, the slavery, and everything we went through, all the captivities, is to get us to the place to prevent us from perishing. All the nations are going to be destroyed and set in their place at the land. The ones that's not utterly destroyed, they're going to be set in Christ's kingdom to worship Him like it was always meant to be. And those who would not worship Him and don't want Christ to be their king, they will be utterly destroyed before Christ, right before His feet. So this is all of this. Let's get back to, let's go back here. Okay, so we're back here, and we're going to pick it up here. Let's see, 30. Give me 15 more minutes, because that was a good place. That was a good scripture, a good place to start, to help us understand this latter end. And what the Most High is doing in this latter end is to get us, we just read it, not to lean to our own understanding. But our understanding of this tool that they use is for our evil. It says, the 13th Amendment, neither slavery nor involuntary servitude, involuntary servitude, that means serving the United States interests, not knowing that they don't have our best interest at heart. Involuntary servitude, accept a punishment for crime whereof the party shall have been duly convicted, shall exist within the United States. Now, what we have to remember, I said that part right there, within the United States, or any place subject to their jurisdiction. The United States is not a geographical place. It's a proverbial paradigm. It only exists on paper. The United States only exists on paper. It's not a geographical location. They're maps that they draw. That's the United States. On that map, they can show you the United States. This is the United States. They point to the map. But this land here that we're standing on is not the United States. The United States is the jurisdiction that these people have. It's the when I say jurisdiction, it means that's a lot. That's saying a lot. You know, the power that they have to control, you know, is mentally, is spiritually, is economically jurisdiction. The laws that they make and how they enforce how they enforce the violators of their law, how they control the policies and all of that. That's explaining. That's kind of explaining jurisdiction. The right to judge you, to make laws and force you to keep them and judge you is jurisdiction. The power and control they have over you. Okay, it's not a geographical location. But we're going to listen to how he explains the conclusion of Dred Scott case, because it's a good place to start understanding the Most High is using, how he used this document in several ways. He used it to shake us away, shake us from the attachment to believing we are citizens of this proverbial place. The United States. It's a corporation. It's not a land. Right? He's using it to separate. He's using this particular video that the bishop is doing to help us separate from our attachment and the jurisdiction, and to help us gather our identity back. Okay, one thing we must know, and we're going to learn, that we have to place ourselves in this jurisdiction. They cannot, and it's been set up to where they cannot force us under their jurisdiction. That's the way the Constitution, the Peace and Friendship Treaty, the rights of indigenous people, and human rights. All men are created equal, and it talks about free men, men who consider themselves free. They do not subject themselves to the dictation of another man or another nation. I'm free means I don't have to do what you tell me to do, because God created us all equal. We'll leave it like that. Although we know as Israelites, we are above them. But we cannot go and meddle with them and take away their right to exist as self-government, to self-govern themselves. That's the equal part. You have the right to self-govern. Okay? So that's what the Constitution is protecting every man's right to self-govern. Let's look.
When they go into crime, so-called crime, they say, we got you now. Now we get to use you as a slave, which is what we always wanted from the very beginning of this country. That's the fool's game. It's been that way from the beginning. But we're in a game of fools thinking that it's about something else.
I agree with all of that. That's a good place to open up. And, you know, I love this video. I love what he's doing, even though, let's go. Let's keep watching.
And we don't have the rules to understand how the game really works. We're teaching you the rules right now. Keep God's commandments.
See,
that's what you do. Keep God's commandments. And if we do become persecuted by doing it, we know that the Lord is going to redeem us. You hear me? And it's a whole different level of psychology when you know that you're suffering for righteousness' sake, as opposed to being set up in a game of fools and you don't even know the rules or how this whole thing was set up. Y'all all right? Now, read that again. Then yes, I'm going to actually get the description of my title. Neither slavery
nor involuntary servitude, except as a punishment for crime.
So slavery or involuntary servitude is abolished. That's what they're saying. Right. The only way it is not abolished if you are convicted of a crime wherein the parties that's being tried have been duly convicted in a court of law. So that's the loophole. Do y'all understand?
Okay, that involuntary servitude, it's happening to us now because we are volunteering to give up our identity. We don't know our identity. So we're still being forced to be slaves because they cut us off from being a nation. We don't know who we are. And we think we have to be their citizen to survive. When he just said we have to keep the commandments. Let's keep watching.
That's how our brothers and sisters. So they're, like I said, from a baby, they're being primed to fit this. Where do you think those kids holding them fake guns are going? They're going
from a baby. Now, from a baby, and from some of the things that's told to us and taught us in history, that they brought us over here, and they are our masters. They are our slave masters. They brought us over here. We are subject to them because they have guns and their power. They have a government. We're in their country. America, the United States is our government. They cut us off from our sovereignty, from our God, our King, and our laws. That's our sovereignty. And they made new laws and they stole our identity. They traded places with us again, and they made us think this is God's will for us to be in this position we're in. When in 1865 we were destroyed, they took the chains. They took the chains off of us. They said slavery is abolished. It's illegal now. God didn't continue. When God did that, the Most High God did that. He gave them the conscience, the enlightenment. One of my other videos, John Lockley talk about the enlightenment of the Edomite race. They were enlightened to realize that they were wrong and all men were created equal, and slavery was wrong according to God, and that they would be judged for it. It was not humanly right. They didn't understand right and wrong until they read the Bible. Like most people don't understand right and wrong until we read what God classified as right and wrong. The mind of God. Until we get the mind of God in us, let this mind be in you, which was also in Christ Jesus. Christ said he never done anything that he didn't hear the Father say to him. He didn't change the laws. He didn't go in and change. The Most High didn't send him down here to change the laws and get rid of the laws. Okay? So we're going to try to skip over here. Let's see. Okay.
Showed us on the board. A limited credit sale will be held at auction at Banks Arcade without limit.
Lewis,
explain what you're looking
24 years.
work to a car lot for wagon. And they say it's an error, it's erroneous for this is a transcript of an actual court.
Yep.
They can just understand real quick. I'm gonna be real quick. Just find that real.
Plaintiff in error. Let's see. Let's go back. I gotta read.
They can just understand real quick. I'm gonna be real quick. Just find that real quick so you can understand what we're dealing with. Read that. This is a transcript of an actual court.
Yep. December term, 1856, Dred Scott versus John F. A. Sanford. Dred Scott, plaintiff in error.
Dred Scott is the plaintiff, and they say it's an error. It's
plaintiff in error, and I know he's a police officer, but plaintiff in error is what they put on any claim that you go in the courts to make without a lawyer. When you file your own claim and you use your slave name, if you don't identify yourself as the Israelites, the Moors, the indigenous people of this land, even if you file it in the wrong court, you are in error. But this is a term they use to let you know that they don't have to recognize you because you don't have any standing in their court, right? You don't have status and you don't have standing because you are the sovereign people. This is what you must realize. A sovereign person cannot go to its subordinate. They are the subordinates. They are aliens in our land. This is what you got to remember. They're telling you all the time. And they're going to tell you all through this video that the plaintiff, which is us, is in error. I'll put it like this. How would this so-called United States government look going to illegal aliens that they're putting out of the country? They got their visa. They had to go to the United States and get their visa through the United States. And how would the United States look then going to the illegal aliens and saying, we want you guys have broken the law and came into our country illegally, and we want y'all to give us a judgment in our favor, convicting yourselves, condemning yourselves for coming in. We ask y'all to please judge yourself right and give us justice for that. Forgive us justice for you guys breaking our laws. We're going to you go to their house, their courts, and file a claim and say, will y'all judge yourself and punish yourself and hold yourself accountable? How would that look? That's stupid. And that's what this plaintiff in error is doing, because the sovereign people are coming to the people who they gave visa to come into this land, to leave their country, come in here and start colonies, the Declaration of Independence. We gave them, like Obama said, we were considered in law Morocco at that time. And we the first people that gave them visa here to come into this land. We didn't have to let them in. We let them in. They did not have the power to come over here. We could have destroyed all of them in one day. We know it was the Most High's will too, but we're talking about law here. We're talking about them establishing their law, like as the right. Let me see, what's it? Our law. We shall Wisdom of Solomon. Wisdom of Solomon 2. We shall. I gotta look at that. Okay, they established this United States government like this. Look at the Wisdom of Solomon. You go through, you read that from the beginning. Right here, this 10th verse, it says, let us oppress. This is how they're going to oppress us, the poor and righteous man. let us not spare the widow, nor reverence the ancient and gray hair of age. So we know this is talking about the end time. This is what they're doing. They have the power, and this is how they got their power. So the underlying question is, how can we do this to these people when they are stronger than us? They are the gods of this earth. They knew who we were. They said, this is our plan in the last days, that oppress them. We're going to oppress them. And you read down through it, it's going to show you all the ways. I'm just going to read this 11 verse to show you what their law is. Their law is their strength. Let our strength, this is how we're going to do it, this is where we're going to get the power, be the law of justice. They make law and say justice, meaning these are God's laws. This is what God intended to be the law of the land. Let our strength be the law of justice. We create a law and we say it's God's will, God's doing. For that which is feeble, we're feeble because we don't have our identity, we don't know who we are, is found to be worth nothing. Okay? You see now?
Only is for him to even be talking about suing any damn thing. Go ahead.
Versus John A. Sanford.
Now, read the first line.
Upon a writ of error to a circuit court of the United States, the transcript of the record of all the proceedings in the case is brought before this court and is open to its inspection and revision.
So they're saying that this is an error. Now jump to 4. Let's get right to the
Number
meat.
4, yes, sir. A free Negro of the African race whose ancestors was brought to this country and sold as slaves is not a citizen within the meaning of the Constitution of the United States.
Read.
Okay, you see, he jumped over the other 2 verses. He jumped over the 2 verses. Okay, let's see why. When a plea to the jurisdiction in abatement is overruled by the courts upon the demurrer and defendant pleads in the bar, in their courts. We go before the bar, we're in their courts. We are not in the right court. And upon the plea of the final judgment of the court is in his favor, the plaintiff. If the plaintiff bring a writ of error, he's in error, right? This writ is in error, meaning he's in the wrong court. The judgment, a writ of error, the judgment, the court, plea of error, the writ of error, the judgment of the court upon the plea in abasement is before the court, although it was in favor of the plaintiff. If he ruled in favor of the plaintiff, the judge, and if the court erred, I gotta blow this back up. If the court erred in overruling it, the judgment must be reversed. And the mandate issued to the court, to the circuit court, to dismiss the case for want of jurisdiction. Want of jurisdiction means they don't have the jurisdiction to rule in this case. Meaning, Dred Scott or any person that is not a citizen of the United States is not under the jurisdiction of the appellate courts, of these courts, these circuit courts, state courts, and local courts. The Constitutional Court is the only place we can that we have jurisdiction, that we have place. We are in our own proper persona. When we go in our own proper persona, our jurisdiction, the right court for a sovereign person. When we have a claim or a grievance against this verbal United States, we have to go to where the jurisdiction and the laws are designed for us, or meant for us as sovereign citizens, as a person who's not a citizen, but sovereign, not somebody under their visa, not somebody they brought here, but the people who were already here, who are not their citizens, who have not joined with them, where we pledge allegiance to. A free man pledge allegiance to another God, another king, and we have our own laws. And you're going to see here that it's going to show you right here in this Dred Scott case. It's a perfect case to understand who we are and why they can't rule and a decision over us in these small state courts and stuff. So, okay, the warrant of jurisdiction means they don't have jurisdiction to rule in over us. And you'll see why if you read the Peace and Friendship Treaty and all these other indigenous and human rights and that a country that's in a country occupying the sovereign people have taken slavery's been abolished, everybody's free, right? So the United States is all over the world in everybody's country. So the human rights says that because the United States, the Edomites are in your country, they don't have the right to take your sovereignty, to force you under their jurisdiction. So they have to deal with you under common law, under the jurisdiction that every man is free, under the acknowledgement that every man is free. And so they have to go by God's laws and his rule. Every man is free. So if they're going to act as government, which they are doing, they're acting as government, and they're forcing us under their jurisdiction in these small courts. And he was in the wrong court. We don't even know if, the Constitution was adopted. So yes, there was a court for him. But all the lawyers and the judges, they are acting out, violating their oath of office in their seat. They're violating the Constitution when they rule over you and the ruling stands, because they have no jurisdiction, warrant of jurisdiction, but they still rule, and then they carry out the sentence and they carry out the judgment when they don't have the jurisdiction. So what should we do when we're in these courts? When they take us to their court, the first thing we need to do is challenge their jurisdiction. Let's look at the third verse, the third clause. In the circuit court of the United States, the record must show that the case is one in which, by the Constitution and law of the United States, the court has jurisdiction. The record must show. Circuit courts, you must show that you have jurisdiction over that matter. If it's civil, some cases can be heard. Some cases can be heard. If you agree, civil things, some things can be settled in civil court. But most of the misdemeanor charges and the criminal charges that they've tried to bring against you, you're supposed to challenge their jurisdiction because you're in the wrong court. Circuit court has no jurisdiction. So it says the court has jurisdiction And let me see, let's read that all over again. In the circuit court, the United States, the record must show, you must show that the case is one in which, by the Constitution and law of the United States, the court has jurisdiction. If you don't have jurisdiction, they can't hear and they can't rule on it. That's co-signing with the second verse. Okay. And the judgment must be reversed by this court, and the parties cannot, by consent, waiver the objection to the jurisdiction of the circuit court. So when you challenge the court, the party can't object and waiver the judgment, right? And can say, hey, we want to appeal that. If they don't have jurisdiction, the parties that the parties cannot object to the challenging of the jurisdiction. So now we go to the fourth verse. We see that there's a difference between the conclusion is, and the understanding is that there's a difference in people, and jurisdiction must be established. And jurisdiction is for non-citizens would have to go through the constitutional court. You can't judge them as citizens. You cannot judge non-citizens as citizens and rule, which they've been doing, because the courts are in error. The courts are de facto. The judges are operating without a bond. They're violating the Constitution. They're violating sovereign people's rights. Let's watch.
When the Constitution was adopted,
That's number 5.
they were not regarded in any of the states
Black people were not regarded in any of the states as what?
as members of the community which constituted the state.
Go ahead.
And were not numbered among its.
Notice the beginning. It said,
Okay, let's go back and hear that fourth verse again.
And sold as slaves is not a citizen.
Okay, let's.
Number 4, yes, sir. A free Negro of the African race whose ancestors was brought to this country and sold as slaves is not a citizen within the meaning of the Constitution of the United States.
read.
Okay, free Negro. Now, free means what it's saying. We are all free. Slavery is abolished. And just because you were brought here by them don't mean you're under their jurisdiction. You free because the law says declares we're free. No slavery is against the law. So you're free. That means you're not subject to them anymore, to their jurisdiction. That's all that means. But we think it's a bad thing. Let's keep listening to him. And that's according to the Constitution of the United States. That's their agreement. This is a treaty. That's their agreement with us. They set up and we signed off on it. That just because you brought the people over here, that don't mean that you have jurisdiction over them.
When the Constitution was adopted,
That's number 5.
they were not regarded in any of the states
Black people were not regarded in any of the states as what?
as members of the community which constituted the state.
Go ahead.
And were not numbered among its.
Notice the beginning. It said when the Constitution was adopted. What was that? 1770s.
Adopted. That means they did not write the Constitution by themselves. They recognized it and they agreed on it. They agreed to it. Adopted means they agreed to it. They took it from someplace. It wasn't theirs. They adopted it. You got to know these words. They adopted it. And they were not, and the people, these same people, when the Constitution was adopted, these free people, these black people were not the indigenous people. When they say, you don't understand it, we don't understand it. When they say these people, they're talking about the people that was here before them, the Coppertone people. They were not regarded in any of the states as members of the community. That means we were not under their jurisdiction. We're talking about state law and circuit courts. That means we were not considered their community. Now we got to keep listening to understand communities. I think I'll read this. Was not members of the community which constituted the state. The community constitute the state. So we can automatically see that the state is not a geographical location. On the map is the only place the state exists. The state is the people and the communities where they live. They join together to form an alliances, a confederate, and to support the cutting us off from being a nation. Because we don't know this, but the law is in place that we are not a part of their communities. And we're not numbered among its people or citizens. We are not their citizens because they have their own communities like we have our own communities. Consequently, the special rights and immunity guaranteed to citizens do not apply to them. That's a good thing. That's for them. We're not their citizens, which make us our own citizens. Will make us free to govern ourselves with our own laws by our own God and our own king. We have a God, we have a king, we have our own laws. That's our community. We can gather together under that because we're not their citizens. This is a good thing. And not being citizens within the meaning of the Constitution, they are not entitled to sue in that character, in that chart. Is that character? I don't know. Am I reading that right? Let's listen to him read that. In the courts of the United States, and the circuit court has not jurisdiction in such a suit. They can't bring. Let's hear him read that one more time.
Constitution of the United States.
Read.
When the Constitution was adopted,
That's number 5.
they were not regarded in any of the states
Black people were not regarded in any of the states as what?
as members of the community which constituted the state.
Go ahead.
And were not numbered among its...
Notice the beginning. It said when the Constitution was adopted. What was that, 1776?
Yes.
That's when it was. He said when the Constitution was adopted. You talking about some all men BS. They said when the Constitution, this was argued in court, and the defendant won. When the Constitution was adopted, they, meaning Negroes, were not regarded in any of the states as members of the community which constituted the state. Come on.
And were not numbered among its people or citizens.
That's the reason why you have to have voting rights every so and forth, because it's telling you, white folks don't have to go through this. Go ahead.
Consequently, the special
Because of that, because they're not citizens of the United States, consequently, go ahead.
The special rights and immunities guaranteed to citizens do not apply to them.
You hear this? Do not apply to us that were brought over here in captivity. Read.
And not being citizens.
Now Northern Kingdom might be saying, well, they ain't talking about us. We're going to get you too. And they just sitting up there happy. Come on, read.
And not being citizens within
the white man ain't talking about us. I knew I was with your master. You're going to find out something. Come on.
And not being citizens within the meaning of the Constitution, they are not entitled to sue in that character.
They are not entitled to sue. So they're saying that the whole lawsuit.
Okay, so they're not entitled to sue in that character, in the character of the citizens of the community. You're not considered the citizens of the community, right? So you can't, you don't have the right to go in and sue in their courts because they don't have jurisdiction. You're not a citizen.
Is BS. Go ahead.
In that character in a court of the United States, and the circuit court has not jurisdiction in such a suit.
So they can't even go to civil court or nothing. Go ahead.
Number 6.
Now he's taking that as a bad thing. But this is God. This is God now. This is what God established. Let them, they adopted this, meaning we wrote this out. Meaning the Moors, the people that was in government, we know we had government here. It took them 300 years to establish their first president from 1492 to, 1789, 1787, 86 sometime. George Washington was their first president. Who was governing before then? Who was the government before then? Why did it take them 300 years? Because you can look history. We already had government set up. George Washington chopping down the cherry tree is the coup d'etat. Is when they took over the Moors and the indigenous, the Northern Kingdom, who are the Moors and the Jews. We were together as one. When he chopped down, it means they coup d'etat our government. And so we see right here jurisdiction, because the circuit court has not jurisdiction in such suit. That means we have to go to a court. We have to establish our own court. We have to establish our own court and be in our proper persona, not be plaintiff in error, come as one of the indigenous people, the Israelites, another nation, suing their nation. We sue their nation. And we sue their people, but we have to be in our proper persona, and we have to do it in a federal court, right? That's where the common law exists, and that's the law that governs us. We have to sue them based on the law that governs us. And they agreed to the Constitution, the common law court, the jurisdictions. They created other jurisdictions and other laws for their community. It's separating right here. We can't see it. Let's keep listening.
This is the part. Listen to this.
The only 2 clauses in the Constitution which point to this race,
Meaning black folks. Go ahead.
treat them as persons whom it was morally lawful to deal in as articles of property and to hold as slaves.
Now, that was after they tweaked us and got us to consent to their government. We consented to their government. And they said, okay, since they don't know who they are, we've gotten their identity. They think our laws are the law of justice. Then they are feeble-minded, and we can treat them like we want to treat them. They won't rebuttal in their proper persona. They're still using the names of their slave masters. They're not using their proper name. They're using somebody else's identity, and they in the wrong. Somebody else's name. They're using somebody else's surname. They calling themselves Walkers and Smiths and Wilsons, and they're using fraud names. They're coming in somebody else's identity. They're not in their proper persona. So you cannot go in a court in a false name and expect the court to take you seriously and recognize you in that fraud name. They know who you are, so you can't come as a citizen when they know you're not a citizen and think you got standing and status in the court. You don't. So they treat you as property. And they do what they want to do with you because you are going to the people who you gave permission to live in your country. And you got a constitution here you don't understand. You separated. God is separating you from these people by jurisdiction. It's already set up. This is the Most High's doing. This law is the Most High's doing. All of those treaties, that's the Most High's doing. That's your protection. He laid it out there for us. Although we don't understand it, that's what waking us up. That's what this video about. That's what I'm about. That's what the Moors are about. That's what all the activists are about. That's what the people and the young people waking up saying, we are not black. We are not going to vote anymore in your system because this system is not our system. The Israelites are the only one complaining about not being United States system. These camps, especially this camp, especially this priest, he's the only one that don't understand it. But I love that he brought this video out. This is helpful to us. This is helpful to get us in the right place. And I'm using him. I could have did the video without him. You know, I understand the dread. This note here, this conclusion, well, I understand. I know how to find this. I could have did it without him, but I'm using him because, you know, to combat the thinking that we have to be their citizens to get justice and legal justice. No, we are the legal justice. Our laws trump their laws. The Constitution is the law of the land. So our law, the common law, the law that states every man is created equal and free, no man has the right to force his laws. We're going by God's laws because God's law is the only righteous law on the land. Hour and 21 minutes. We're going to end it. So they're doing this. They are treating us like slaves, like the woman that went to Christ and he ignored her. And then he said, it's not meet for me to give you the same thing that they were saying, the immunities and guarantees to the citizens, the special rights. It's not meet that I give you the special rights and the promises and the gifts that belong, the bread from the children's table. He called her a dog, meaning you are of another nation. You don't get to enjoy the dainties of the children's bread. And then she said, yes, but you can let us have the crumbs. You can give me the crumbs from under the table. The dog can eat the crumbs. So that's what we're saying to the United States. We'll be your dogs and eat the crumbs from the table. Just give us a little bit. Just give us what you got. Give us what you can spare. So they say, okay, we'll give you crumbs. You're dogs. We'll give you crumbs. We'll treat you like property. You want to be a dog? We'll treat you like a dog. We'll treat you like the feeble-minded little children that don't know where you are, that's groping in darkness. When we wake up to the laws and come back to who we are, we're not supposed to keep groping in darkness. We're supposed to stand up and declare our sovereignty and our allegiance to our God, our King, and our laws, and denounce the other nations and denounce their laws, because their laws is causing us to break the commandments. Okay? Let's keep listening.
It's the 13th Amendment right there. Treat them as articles of property with a number on them when that gavel swings, because they've messed around and got themselves caught up in the honey trap of this system. Now they got a number on them, and that's it. Treat them as persons whom it was morally lawful. There's no pain of conscience here. It's morally lawful to deal with them as a piece of property.
I agree with all of that.
It's morally, understand those words. It's morally lawful to deal with them as articles of property and to hold.
Now, it's not morally law because God has the ultimate moral law, how we should treat each other, right? But if we agree to their jurisdiction and agree to being their property, then it's nothing wrong with them treating us as their property.
Their slaves. Read. 7.
Number 7, since the adoption of the Constitution of the United States, no state can by any subsequent law.
Subsequent law meaning a law that came after the Constitution. No state can by any subsequent law do what?
Make a foreigner or any other description of persons, citizens of the United States.
There's Northern Kingdom and everybody else. Go ahead.
Nor entitle them to the rights and privileges secured to citizens by that instrument.
Why do you think Trump?
Now, wait a minute. I don't think that's what that's saying. Since the adoption of the Constitution of the United States, they keep saying they adopted it. They declared it to be a part of them. That means it came from somewhere else. Of the United States, no state can, by any subsequent law, they can't make a law to make a foreigner or any other description of a person citizens of the United States. That's a good thing. They can't force you under their jurisdiction because remember, their jurisdiction is for their citizens. You're not their employee. You're not their citizen. You don't have to keep their policies. Their law is not the law of justice because justice only flow from the Most High God and His laws. Justice, what's right, to every free man is justice, and that only comes from the Most High God. And let's see. Nor does it entitle them to the rights and privileges secured to citizens by that instrument. So any law that they make does not entitle us or force us under their jurisdiction. And just because they give you a stimulus check, just because they give you Social Security, just because they give you a tax break, you're not entitled to it. They can cut it off at any time. Like he said, that's why Donald Trump is doing what he's doing, because he's in their system. It's legal to cut us off. And we getting all upset. You cutting us off. He's showing you right here. This is a good place, man. I'm glad he made this video. He's showing you right here that you don't have any legal right to anything in their proverbial United States.
Is doing what he's doing, rounding up Northern Kingdom and all that because he's going by this.
And the thing of it is, he's not rounding up the Northern Kingdom. The Northern Kingdom are the people who are saying, we are not black, we are not voting, we are not protesting with you, we are the Northern Kingdom. They are the only people that's standing against this system. They are Ephraim being shot out of the bow, which is Judah. They learned who they were through Judah. They learned that they got their power and strength from Judah. Judah stood up against these people by coming out and preaching the law and preaching the judgment of the Most High to these people and taking our identity back by force. And so the Northern Kingdom, which is the black people, they woke up and they said, and you see it happening all over the world. People are standing up to power and saying, we are not your slaves. We are not a part of your system. Your system is broke. It's falling. You fix it. We're not building your kingdom up anymore. That's the Northern Kingdom. Not those so-called people y'all got over, that y'all stationed over on you identified as the people of the 12 tribe chart. Those are the Ter. Those are the new races. That's Edomites, bastards, children. That's who they are. The Northern Kingdom is the dark-skinned And we know we have mulatto, it's the bloodline. But he didn't change the face of all the people. Because they're sitting down there, they're sitting in the land. It's over 100 million people in the adjoining islands in South and Central America. You put them together, it's over 150 million people that are saying they were taken there on slave ships, is what their ancestors told them. Now, how did they get more people down there than they did in North America? Because they removed them from a closer geographic location, not the transatlantic slave trade across the Atlantic Ocean, but from North America to South America. And they did that one tribe at a time. That's how they got in those different lands. They did that by removing one tribe at a time. The French, the Portuguese, the Chinese, the English, the Germans, the Dutch, which is the Germans. They did that when they built their empire on them different lands. And that's what the Most High said, and he predicted that Joseph, that's what said Jacob, that's what Jacob predicted, the power of the Most High God, where we would be in these last days. That's why that 12 tribe chart is right. Who they're calling the people of the 12 tribe by, saying that all the people, the government, all the light-skinned people, cake unturned, that's out of context. Speckled bird, that's out of context. It's not saying that all the Northern Kingdom would be the Latinos and those so-called Native Americans. When we see black people sitting in all those places, more than 60% in Brazil are Israelites. And on all these other lands is more, except for Argentina, is more black people than it is the tare. It's more wheat than it is tare. And we see the tare being gathered up. Who is Donald Trump gathering up? The white Northern Kingdom, the white indigenous people, the white Mexicans, the white Latinos. Why? Because they won't even let the dark-skinned people from those lands come near this country. They stay down there and be glad that that Esau's bastard children are leaving and coming back to their fathers, trying to get part of this glorious kingdom. They come up here and say, "Me no black, we white." That means they have a white father. They know what it means. And another thing, all the people that are in government, that are ruling in those lands where we are scattered, they are white. Or mulatto, they have white fathers. They would never, the prophecy was that we would not have power in our hands. We would not have military. We would not have power to take, military power, physical power to take our sovereignty back. But as he wake us up, we can present these same laws that we are not your citizens, we are not a part of your government, your proverbial government, and we have our own God, our own laws, and our own king. When we stand on that, and that's what we gather on, the main thing is that the Most High would not command us to come out from these countries and segregate ourselves and disconnect from them, knowing that that's against their will. They do not want us to separate from them. That's why when all hell broke loose, when our people woke up and said, "We're not voting in your system, we're not protesting, the country's broke, you fix it. It's your proverbial country. We are our own people. We are different people. We're not from Africa. We were here when you got here." That's what all of our young people, millions of our people are saying that in North America today. You can look on TikTok, YouTube. All of our young people know who we are. And we are coming out. That's the Northern Kingdom. because Judah didn't have they didn't have the strength. They didn't mental, and you got fear all on you. You don't even understand what not being a citizen to these, not being joined with these people is. When you're teaching the Bible and teaching that we are supposed to come out from among them, then you mad because the Most High is using them to use this adopted from us constitution, this adopted constitution ruling to push us away from them. Because he has to push us, and you're still teaching that they doing us wrong by not letting us be their citizens. You're still teaching that. And you know the Most High told us to separate, and he's got them pushing us away, so that will give you an indication that they don't want us to be citizens. So it's all right to gather together and form your own communities. Get your own, pull yourself up by your bootstrap. That's what they're telling us. The Most High is forcing them to do that. That's for our benefit. Now, I know I don't like calling y'all names, but, I got to call you a couple of names. You're scared and you fear. Fear of the enemy is doubt. Is you doubting God. When you feel the enemy, they gonna get us, they big and bad. When God said, no, look at me, I'm your power. Keeping my commandments, I will fight for you. I'll do all this stuff for you. 1 King 8. If thou bethink thyself. Solomon, he put it in Solomon's mouth to show us how to come out from under their jurisdiction. How to invoke his power working for us again. Get the blessings pursuing us. We have to stop being their citizens and stop giving them jurisdiction. In order for us to do that without fear, we have to come together and form our own communities and everything we need to do for the protection of our citizens. And we have to govern ourselves, and we have to hold them accountable. As for this treaty says, we have to take their the people that violate us, we have to take them and hold them as prisoners like they hold our people as prisoners. They have to be subjected to our law. Our laws, the Most High's laws. They can't just come over here and do anything. Some of our laws are punishable by death. They're punishing us by death just for stealing a bottle of water out of one of their stores. That's punishable by death. We just seen them let a criminal go, and for a boy stealing, he killed a boy who stole a bottle of water, and they're doing it every day. All these foreigners and all these people, they're letting them off the hook. So they know what their judgment is if we stand back up and form a community. That's why at the same time they're pushing us away from our resources that they stole from us. They're punishing us for standing up and being a community. We can never gather. So we have to evoke the power of the Most High by keeping the laws of God. We have to provoke our thinking and to trust in the Most High God again. We have to adjust our thinking to believe and trust that he will fight against them as we stand up against them with these laws. You said we're not your citizens and we have our own communities. It's as simple as that.
Read.
Number 8, a state by its laws passed since the adoption of the Constitution.
So if a state decides to pass a law after the adoption of the Constitution, and if they do what? And may put a foreigner
or any other description of persons upon a footing,
meaning the same footing with its own white citizens, go ahead,
as to all the rights and privileges enjoyed by them
that's enjoyed by white citizens,
by them within its dominion,
read,
and by its laws.
Go ahead.
But that will not make him a citizen of the United States.
So even if they give you, like they say, let's give the nigga a little bit. Let's give them civil rights. Let's give them this. Let's give them that. To make us think that we're on a footing with the understanding of everybody else. Even though your politicians are fooling you and making you think that you are a part of it, the Constitution is coming back and saying that will not entitle you as a citizen, nor will it entitle you to sue in its courts. Read that.
Nor entitle him
But that will not make him a citizen. Read that.
Yes, sir. But that will not make him a citizen of the United States, nor entitle him to sue in its courts, nor to any of the privileges and immunities of a citizen in another state.
That's the reason why people could get shot down, left in the street. Nobody cares about.
No, that's not the reason. No, that's not the reason. The reason why is because we have not formed our own communities and stood up against these people. Not because we're not their citizens. It's all right for them to form their own communities and have bylaws and policies for their community. It's because we keep going to them, bowing down and asking them to rule to rule against themselves. They said we hold ourselves not guilty. We say, no, you did us wrong when you rule against yourself. No, we have to rule against them. We are our own law. We enforce our own law. According to the Most High, we should stand up and resist them, the tyrants. Rebellion to a tyrant is obedience to God. That's the book. Look that book and study it. This is the white man. This is the white man's idea. Rebellion to a tyrant, they look at us as tyrants and troublemakers. And when they stand up for their own community, that's obedience to God. That means that's every man's right to do. A free man. It's their right to be free. It's our right to be free. It's our right to establish walls and barriers that they can't violate us. To set a fence up, of defense up, to where they can't easily violate us, and to hold them accountable in our courts with our laws. Now, we ain't gonna kill them for stealing a bottle of water, but you might have to work it off. We might just give you a bottle of water. You ain't gonna have to steal a bottle of water from us. We got everything over here. You stealing, and you gonna shoot us down for stealing, taking a bottle of our water off your shelf that you stole. You gonna shoot our children down? You got hell to pay. So, no, us not being their citizen is not a curse. It's a blessing.
It's understanding why all these things is happening. Because they're going by this. This is the wake-up call. Read 9.
The change in public opinion and feeling in relation to the African race, which has taken place since the adoption of the Constitution.
Ain't that the civil rights and all these things I was talking about? These things came after the adoption of the Constitution. Listen to what it say.
Cannot change its construction and meaning.
The Constitution of the United States cannot change its construction and meaning. Read.
And it must be constructed and administered now according to its true meaning and intention when it was formed and adopted.
Did y'all hear that? That's the game.
Okay, that's not the game. It's the people running game, and you enforcing that game on our people. So we understand this. We understand what's happening here. And if you go to them in their courts and ask for justice, you don't have any jurisdiction, and especially if you plaintiff in error, you using a fraud name that's not your name. You're not a Walker or Wilson or Adam. Your name is Israel or Yasharella, son of Israel, son of Jacob. You are the son of Jacob. That's your name. That's your surname. Right? You have to be in your proper surname, which is your bloodline, which carries you back to the rights of your forefather in this land. You can't claim the rights of their citizenship when they declare you're not a citizen. When you go to their courts and their local courts in your slave master's name, that's fraud. You have to go in your ancestor's name and make claim against them. And you have to go to a federal court. That's our court. Right? You have to gather together. Right now, we need to stop going to them for anything. We need to stop going to them for anything. We need to stop going to them. Well, the Bible said we have to go to white man for everything. No, the Bible said when you wake up and come back to the Most High, He will provide all your supplications, all your prayers, all your needs. He will do that. The blessings will pursue you again. They're giving you crumbs. If you come back to your proper identity and your proper standing with the Most High and your nation, your king and your laws, you're going to have milk and honey. You're going to have everything you need in abundance. In abundance. We just read it to you. So all praises to the Most High. I hope somebody get this. And I'm gonna tell you something. You can laugh and say, "Oh, he don't have no subscribers, and we've been all over the world, brothers, and we met all kind of dignitaries and people." You know, that's what you stake your worth on. That's what you think make you better than the other Israelites. And haven't you seen them kind of people? Well, for me to not have many views, he only had like 100 views. But for me not to have but a few views and no subscribers, when Bishop said that to his congregation that day, what did all the men say when he said, "Have you seen them kind of people?" You know he was talking about me. What did they in unison they hollered, "Yeah!" That means they all been watching. They take the video and they pass it around. But they won't challenge me on any of this. And only thing I challenge them on is the citizenship, who we are, how did the Northern Kingdom get transferred into slavery on slave ships, and what else? The virgin birth, right? And it's interesting that they will not challenge me on the virgin birth, but they will challenge everybody else. It's because they know my talking points. They know my scriptures that I'm going to pull. They know the breakdown. But they will not challenge me to put me to rest and make a fool out of me. But they'll only talk under their breath like cowards. They will not address me personally. And they have every opportunity. And that's why I'm going to start going on live to see how many brave men and women from these camps will get on and challenge these scriptures. So all praises to the Most High. We are not citizens. They have no jurisdiction on us.